Let's Talk is a series of interviews with remarkable Australians. Simply, it's been designed to normalise difficult conversations and aimed at helping the day-to-day challenges that many of us face.
Perfect. Good. We used to actually come here and watch our girls do dancing, and Danny used to quite often say, "Can I go now?" The minute his girls had been done, I said, "No, you've got to sit through the whole thing."
Anita Frawley is a great friend.
Great to see you.
Depression and anxiety have got the better of far too many people. Danny Frawley is one of those.
This is not going to be easy.
No, I know.
So, Let's Talk. Presented by AIA.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, well, you've done a lot for me, so payback.
You okay to talk?
Yeah.
Righto. When did you first think to yourself that Danny might have depression?
I think the years after Richmond, I think a couple of years after that, and he was in the Coaches Association job, and he was sort of out of his depth, and the Essendon saga hit him like a freight train, and I just noticed signs then. He just became frantic and, you know, at the gym twice a day, and I mean more than what he ever was, and just wasn't coping as well. And then he didn't sleep for 3 weeks. So I rang the doctor on a Sunday morning and said, "Look, I don't know what I'm going to do with him. He's not sleeping and whatever." So he came over on the Sunday and he said, "I think he's got depression." And it just hit me like, what? Like, Danny, he's been the happiest bloke you'd ever come across. Just lived life to the full and loved every moment of it. So it shook him, and it really shook the girls and I. So had him to the psychiatrist the next day, and it took the psychiatrist a couple of weeks to get his meds right, and then, you know, to get him to find, I mean, he was taking 2 of the still knocks and it still wasn't knocking him out, and he just became obsessed on the sleep. You know, I'm not sleeping, and I'm going to crash, and I'm going to burn. And so that you know, I didn't realise they were the signs, and neither did him. We just thought there was something else. It could be stress a little bit, you know. But, you know, in hindsight, it's that manic behaviour, that lack of sleep, just all over the shop, like almost like he had ADHD, which probably did have a little bit, but anyway, but he was just over the top manic on everything.
And were there fluctuations? Was he happy and then flat, or was he just scattered?
He hadn't hit rock bottom that early stage,
yep.
But when he hit rock bottom, no, there was no up. It was rock bottom.
And what does rock bottom look like?
Not getting out of bed,
yep.
Not wanting to do any of the things that he normally does, not, you know, becoming, how would you put it?
Reclusive.
Absolutely reclusive,
yep.
Yeah. Didn't want to see anyone. His behaviour just, you know, he would meet his mates for a bike ride every morning, Mark Foley and the boys, and he'd say, "Yeah, here I'll come," just wouldn't turn up. That just was not Danny. Like, yeah. He'd never let anyone down. But the incredible part was so he had the first 3 or 4, like say, month off. And then the psychiatrist said, "Look, I think it's probably good for you to get back and maybe try and do a little bit of work." He could flick that switch, and you know that.
Walk into the bounce studio.
Yep.
Nothing's
bang.
wrong.
And I'd be sitting there holding my breath thinking, is he going to just collapse? Is he? I just felt this anxiety for him, because that was his, you know, place he loved and his work, and he's presenting as this happy-go-lucky guy, and we all knew he wasn't. So he'd get in the car, come home, go straight to bed. But yeah, it was just incredible, that power of that mind, though, to just snap on and just, yeah.
And incredibly powerful both ways. So the disappointment of being let go by Richmond, the pressure of the whole Essendon scenarios, the man in charge of the coaches. So it was almost environmental that inflicted. We'll get to CTE.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think the combination of all of them,
yeah.
Including the CTE, was just, you know, catastrophic for him. Absolutely.
So when you went and saw the doctor and he said depression, and was Danny at the stage where he accepted it and said, "Okay, great, at least I know now"? I
think it gave him a couple of answers to why he wasn't sleeping. I mean, the main event for that was he came home on the Saturday night after SEN, and he was just really like manic, and I said, "Just take the dogs for a walk down to the beach while I get dinner ready, and just try and calm down," because he, you know, meditate and all that sort of thing. So he took the dogs to the beach. He came home howling, like just sobbing. And I said, what happened? Did one of the dogs get run over? And he said, I lost Chippy down the beach, his little white Shih Tzu poodle. He said, I couldn't find him. And he was so distressed. I said, Dan, he's a little dog. He'll be fine. He'll probably know how to come home. And it just went, this is not right. Like, he was just emotionally just wrung out. I just couldn't stand it if I lost him, and it's not his fault, and I wasn't concentrating, and he knew that there was stuff going on. So that's when we sat down. I said, we need to get you some help. This is not normal.
I remember him telling me that he'd been doing radio on a Saturday or a Sunday, and he was in his car in the MCG in tears, not knowing how to get home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's the combination of the CTE as well and the depression. That's not, the whole thing. They just get into this panic. It's like a panic attack, and just, what do I do? What do I do?
I can't take a step forward.
No, I can't take a step forward. Yeah, and I can't go back. So he'd rig, and we'd just talk through it. Calm down. Where are you? Go this way and work through it. Yeah.
So did you think he would get, with medication and help, in control or...
He was in control.
Yeah.
He was, and that's Danny. So the November before December, we were down the beach, and he was the best he's been, and he was on his meds, and there was 2 reasons why he was in control. He was seeing his psychiatrist, Brendan, probably every 2 weeks, and he was like his moral compass, his guiding light, and he was wonderful with him. And I used to go to the appointments all earlier on with him, and because Danny'd say, no, I'm fine, mate, I'm fine. And I'd go, no, he's not. This is what he's doing, Brendan. He's not fine.
And did Brendan agree with you or with Danny?
No, he knew. He said, Danny, you've got to tell me the truth, until he got that relationship, and then he would sort of, get the right answers that he needed. But Danny, being that tough footballer, no, I'm fine, I'll be right. No, you weren't. What is he really doing in there? Is he getting out of bed, going bike riding? No. Is he doing this? No. Is he lying in bed all day? Yes. And he would just... No, I'm good. So he stayed on his meds. He took a long while to get them right for him, got them right, and then and seeing Brendan, he was tempered, I would say, and that's what meds do. They keep you, on that tempered line, and it just it stopped a lot of the impulsiveness too, which I also find interesting with CTE. That it stopped a lot of his wild behaviours, stupid stuff, and then. Unbeknownst to me, in that by the January or the February, he decided he would go off them. And I noticed he wasn't in his big pill bag home. You should have seen it was a plastic bag full of pills.
Is that in 2019?
Yep.
Yeah.
I said, you're not taking your meds, Dan. He said, no. I've spoken to Brendan. It's all good.
Which he hadn't?
Well, they'd discussed it, and Brendan said, if we're going to do it, it'll be a very gradual thing, and it'll be under my control.
Right.
Danny I'm not going to see Brendan, and I'm going to just throw the meds out the door, and that's exactly what he did. So by the May, June, there was just signs again, and
Could you feel it bubbling?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was the CTE kicked in more then too, by this stage, with the depression and the anxiety and everything. He also knew that there was something wrong with his brain. We looked at an article in the Herald Sun. Well, I opened it up, and it was on the Sports Brain Bank, and I've gone, oh my God, Danny, you read this, I think
this is you.
This is you. These are the symptoms you're displaying. I said, we need to get back to... I thought if we could get him back on the meds and whatever. And he read it, and he said, I'll have to ring about it. But he just knew that there was something wrong, that wasn't right with his brain, and the depression. The whole thing was just catapulting around him. Yeah.
So this is June, July, and it's...
Yep. Simmering away.
So I got the phone call in 2019 from Gillen saying, I need you to hear this from me, because you're about to hear it from others. I need you to know it's true. And it's like, that can't be right.
No, can't be right, but it was, yeah.
How did you hear?
Probably similar to you. So I was at TLA doing September Club, and Chelsea rang me. She got a call. Channel 10 had put up that there'd been a car accident and Danny was in it. So she said, I'm coming to TLA, Mum. So Chelsea came to TLA, and then I said, you've got to get Danny out. We just could not get any information. I just had this feeling, just this sinking feeling. And the police commissioner, whoever it was, I can't remember his name now, rang me and told me, and was in the TLA offices, and then we had the decision to make on whether to ring Keely in America. It was in the middle of the night.
So Danielle was with you?
Danielle and Chelsea. Keely had just gone back to America to play scholarship basketball, college
First
basketball.
Year at university over there.
First year, and I rang Skylar, the coach over there, and I said, I'm just in a dilemma, I don't know what to do, because it was already popping up on social media. And we discussed it, and he said, I think you need to tell her. Yeah.
How does that phone call go?
Can't relive it. No. Anyway, she booked to come home. The university were amazing. They booked her on a flight the next day. They flew her to LA. And then she got on a Qantas flight. Qantas were amazing. The air hostesses all looked after her. And she got home, and when I got that phone call, when I had to do that phone call, I got in the car afterwards with Gus in his BT50. And I'm sitting in the back seat, and I said, I've just got this pain, this sharp pain. I said, is this heartbreak? Is this, what is this what it's about? Like, I just was grueling. And then I found out an hour and a half later, 2 hours, that I'd had a heart attack, and it's called Takotsubo, broken heart syndrome. And so I'm raced to hospital with the ambulance with Chelsea and Danielle with me. Keely doesn't know. She's on a plane, and I just remember going, please, they can't lose their mum and their dad in the same day. This is just, no, it can't happen. So Keely came straight to the hospital the next day when she got home, and all of them stayed in hospital with me for 4 days.
3 daughters, 3 boyfriends, one heartbroken mother.
Oh, one mother that was, on Valium and just completely wiped out. So, yeah. But, the resilience in human nature, you just have to get through it, and you can't, I think the thing that surprised me is if you get the help. I mean, we were so fortunate. We had great help with psychologists, and, we had the time together. We had the ability to be together and talk through it, and having people around you and just carry you. I don't even remember the first 12 months, just a blue, absolute nightmare. But I can just remember thinking, in 12 months' time, I think I'll be all right. I'll be better than I am today. I know I'll be better than I am today. And that kind of got me through, and also that I had to be there for my girls. They just,
Has time helped?
Yeah, it does. Yep. You just need that time. Grief just takes time. It's got its process. You can't do anything about it. It just, especially with suicide as well. But I want people to know that you can. The pain will always be there. There'll always be that pain in our hearts, and my girls. But you get through, and I think what you learn is that you become a far more empathetic person. You have this ability to fight for things you want to fight for. Otherwise, why the hell would I be doing this? But you have that. I want the Anita Frawley Centre to mean something, and I want to see change with CTE. That's my mission in life. I want to make a change, and I'm damn well going to do it. So I don't see others go through what I've done.
So the Anita Frawley Wellness Centre has been created to do what?
Well, to deal with really mental health issues. So it deals with the mental and the physical. So, especially with Danny, I mean, that he always felt if you keep your physical fitness up and your strength, it helps with your mental health, which it definitely does, because when it dropped off for him, it really dropped off. Last year there was 5,000 youth went through our programs on mental health and stuff like that. So there's Safe Talk, which is suicide alertness, and Danielle takes those programs. There's all these different programs that help deal with the issues that we're talking about. So, and next year we'll start looking at bringing the psychological help into the program as well.
I got this written down, Nate, because I didn't want to get the definition wrong. CTE, the term used to describe brain degeneration likely caused by repeated head traumas.
It's still such an unknown. The US seem to be a lot further advanced than us, but we're getting there, and I think the awareness is getting there. But for the ones that have lived with someone with CTE and, then had suicide, the Tucks, Paul Green, like I still, that still gets me every time. It's not just the depression. You see the other signs, and I think I've told you. I stood in that kitchen and I looked and I said, "This is not the man I married. This is who is he?"
You told me.
Just, I couldn't believe the changes, and until after. So if we can get more awareness out that, for people that might think they have it, to get them tested. We can't confirm it prior to death, but there's signs and symptoms and if they've been playing sport all their life, well, they are. But the big thing I would like to see happen is to try and get more brains donated, which is what the coroner wanted from Danny's inquest. And the other thing is to keep a really strong eye on what our youth are doing with regards to tackling and stuff like that, and keep up with what the US are coming out with. And also the recovery from concussion. That's, big err on the side of caution. If you give 5 weeks off for a hamstring, surely your brain's got to be worth as much as a bit of hamstring if it's severe concussion. So it's...
How do we make it safer?
How do we make it safer? How do we make it safer?
Are we getting better about talking openly around mental health, depression, anxiety?
I think we are, and I think that's why, us having this tough conversation, if I can't stand up and have this conversation, then how can I expect others to? I think we're getting better, but there's still got a long way to go. And I think for me, what I've kind of gauged over the journey is if someone does ask you, there's still that worry then on what do you tell them, where do you tell them to go and get help? I mean, there's so many programs out there now that are fantastic, but I think it's getting more awareness out there on how to help people. Yeah.
So if someone says to you, my husband's battling depression or my son, what are your immediate pieces of advice that are going to help? Talk,
make sure that they're open and talking to you, keep an eye on them, ask them if they're suicidal. I mean, I'm not a doctor or psychiatrist thing, but, just keep them speaking and try and get them into, depending on their age, but there's Headspace, there's so many good programs out there that, and get to your GP. You can get a 10 referral to get psychological help as well. So there's lots of stuff out there now to help, but it's trying to get people to understand the process, I suppose, and where to go. And the Danny Frawley Centre will help with that, of course, because we'll have that there.
What have you learned about yourself over the last 4 years that you didn't know?
That I can survive. Yep, probably the major thing. That people can survive if you go through this. You don't know how. It's just one foot after the other. Get up, deal with it. Get up, deal with it. But knowing that one day down the track, it might be a little bit better.
Thank you for doing this today.
Only for you, Hamish. I've told you that. We go back a long way. Love you.
Love you too.
That's the last time I'm going to do that, I can tell you.
For more Let's Talk interviews, please visit afl.com.au/on-demand and search Let's Talk, or visit aia.com.au/Let's Talk. And the conversations will also be available wherever you access your AFL podcasts. And if you're experiencing mental ill health, we do encourage you to reach out for support. That support may be from family, friends, your GP, or a mental health professional. You can also seek further information and advice from the free and confidential support services listed on the Mental Health and Wellbeing Hub at play.afl/clubhelp.